Hi, Nancy Forster here, the founder and executive director of the National EFT Training Institute, NEFTI, where we train and certify in our framework called Conscious EFT, Conscious Emotional Freedom Techniques, which is an integration of human biology with neuroscience, with energy work, and with spirituality, and how all of those interconnect to weave into a safe and very powerful transformational experience for therapy and coaching clients and their practitioners, quite frankly. So I was asked today to speak a little bit about what's often called beginner's mind. Another way to think about beginner's mind would be the capacity for a practitioner to stay present in relationship with their client, even if they don't actually know the factual content of what the client is sharing. So, for example, in our certification program, which we call Harness the Power of Conscious EFT, we have a practice exercise where we put our candidates into dyads. One is the practitioner and one is the client. And previously, I've gathered the clients together and I've let them know that the issue they're bringing to their therapy coaching session is that they have snoopia. And of course, I mean, don't go Googling sneopia because I don't think you'll find it since I just made it up right in this very moment. Of course, the client is like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to role play this? I don't know what snoopia is. To which I say, it doesn't matter, just make it up. And the most interesting thing happens, of course, that the nervous system is always taking opportunities for healing. And so even in this direction to role play snoopia, their nervous system is actually going to make it real for it. So there's a real value in terms of healing and growth for the practitioner, or sorry, for the client. Meanwhile, then the client goes in and the practitioner just starts off saying, and so, what is it that you want us to chat about, to work on today? And the client says, I have snoopia. And what happens is that the practitioner loses their beginner's mind. They lose their capacity to be present with the client in that moment because all of their conditioning, their societal, their cultural, their individual conditioning programming takes over, and there's a bit of a panic around, I don't know what snoopia is. I mean, how am I supposed to conduct this session when I don't actually know what that is? So in the face of that trauma conditioning from the past, beliefs that sound like, I'm supposed to know what this is. How am I supposed to fix this if I don't know what this is? What is this client going to think of me? And what happens then is an emotional tension. Perhaps it's panic, perhaps it's terror, perhaps it's a frozenness, a numbness, an inability to speak. And of course, that then gets all translated energetically into the relationship with the client. Behaviorally, then we would see the practitioner just not knowing what to do. So this desperation, this demand as a practitioner that we know the what is, that we understand, we have cognitive understanding of what the client is presenting to us, gets in the way of our actual building of relationship with this client and building of trust and rapport. Because what is important here is not what snoopia is. What is important here is the client's experience of snoopia. And that's going to be very, very different client to client. And I saw that very clearly in this exercise in our harness program, because each client, although it was role play, was role playing in a very different way, one from another. So one client, snoopia was a physical disease process in their body. For another client, snoopia was a relational issue they were having with their intimate partner, right? Snoopia for another person had to do with their relationship with building their business. And so the issue is then, how is this client in relationship with what is? I mean, at NEFT and in conscious EFT, two things are paramount. Number one, energy, but number two, relationship. We are in relationship with what is in this world. And our task as conscious EFT practitioners is to help facilitate the client elevating their relationship with what is from one of fear, constriction, bracing, to one which is more open, calmer, more confident, curiosity. So it's a way of being with what is. And as we know, when we change our relationship with what is, then very, very often what is actually changes, right? We hear people talk about, we see the world the way we are. When we change the way we are, then we see the world very, very differently. So snoopia, the idea then is that as practitioners, we need to develop the capacity to deal with our own reactivity to not knowing. Not knowing is a very, very difficult place for human beings because of the conditioning that our worth and our value is based on our capacity to know. And so as practitioners, we need to really work on those energetic blockages in our own nervous system in order that we can facilitate our client investigation into what is their experience of this particular snoopia. And in that experience, what are they experiencing as being constricting, binding, limiting, and how can we help them to shift that energy into one of more curiosity, calm, creativity, connection, and clarity around whatever action may ultimately come to them from a creative place about how to manage their relationship with snoopia. So I'm hoping that is of interest and of value to you. Take good care.